This is a review of the main events in the armed forces of Ukraine for the past week. The Russian spring-summer offensive campaign has been effectively stopped. This was stated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, General Oleksandr Syrskyi. Ukrainian warriors continue to push Russian invaders out of the Sumy region. Active operations are ongoing in the Pokrovsk district of the Donetsk region, and there are certain success in regarding control over territories in the Zaporizhzhia region. General Syrskyi visited the military units and formations holding back the enemy on the border with the Dnipro region. He reviewed the situation and ensured that brigades were provided with reserves, additional ammunition and drones. In September alone, Russians lost almost 29,000 servicemen. In addition, 70 tanks, 65 armored fighting vehicles, more than 1,050 artillery systems and 6 multiple launch rocket systems. General Syrskyi also noted that the level of deep strikes this year was the most effective since the beginning of the war. Since the start of the year, 45 facilities of Russia's fuel and energy and military-industrial complexes have been burning. As a result, Russia's total production of fuel and lubricants have decreased by almost 25%. For the sixth time since the beginning of October, Russia has carried out a massive attack on Ukraine's gas and energy infrastructure. On Thursday night, the enemy launched dozens of missiles, including ballistic ones, and hundreds of Shahed drones. There were hits and destruction in several regions. During the week, shelling did not stop. The 5 Frontline regions suffered the most. Russians targeted residential apartment buildings. Many civilians were killed and wounded. On Monday evening, Russian forces dropped air bombs on Kharkiv. A city hospital, residential buildings, and energy infrastructure were hit. 3 districts were left without power. There are dead and injured. The protection of energy facilities was the main topic of the meeting of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief Staff. President Volodymyr Zelensky announced the formation of additional helicopter groups to defend against enemy drones. Ukraine's Defense Minister Denis Shmyhal summed up the results of the 31st meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, known as the Ramstein format. Among other things, new contributions from NATO member states under the United States Arms Procurement Initiative amount to $422 million. In addition, Norway, the Netherlands, Canada and Iceland announced funding for Ukrainian drone production and other equipment worth $715 million. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte reported that 19 countries within the Ramstein format are ready to provide Ukraine with new military aid packages. The United Kingdom has supplied Ukraine with more than 85,000 drones within just 6 months of this year and invested £600 million. According to the country's Ministry of Defense, the coalition for countering drones is expected to soon sign new contracts for additional equipment deliveries to Ukraine, including around 35,000 interception systems. On Thursday night, Ukraine's defense forces struck the Saratov oil refinery in Russia, one of the oldest facilities in the industry, capable of processing up to 5 million tons of oil per year. In addition, the General Staff confirmed a repeated strike on the sea oil terminal in the temporarily occupied Feodosia. 16 fuel storage tanks were damaged, those that survived the previous attack. Both facilities had supplied fuel and lubricants to the occupiers' army. Ukrainian defense also struck a radar station in Krasna Polyana in Crimea, a drone control point in Oleksandr and an ammunition depot near Makiyivka. Finally, the European Union has decided to allocate €10 million for the establishment of a special tribunal to investigate the crime of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. This was announced by the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kaja Kallas during her visit to Kyiv. She reaffirmed that EU's position. Russian top official bears responsibility for this war, because there would be no war crimes if there had been no crime of aggression. Kaja Kallas also announced an additional €6 million to support Ukrainian children deported by Russia and victims of sexual crimes. It should be recalled that earlier this year, Ukraine signed an agreement with the Council of Europe on the establishment of the Special Tribunal for the crime of aggression committed by Russia against Ukraine. We Will Prevail, produced by the main communication directorate of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine!